Welcome to episode 30 of My Yarny Corner. My name's Alex and I live in Yorkshire in the UK, and this is a podcast all about knitting and crochet. And now sewing. How are we all? I hope we're all okay, and I hope you've had a lovely, crafty, I normally say 2 weeks, but it's been a month since my last podcast. Today is Thursday the 7th of April, and it's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. I've just turned the heating on. I think I've got goosebumps on my arm. I'm really cold. I haven't, before I get into any of that, I'll leave all the information about where you can find me in the description box below. I'm on Instagram, Ravelry. You can email me. There's a Facebook group for this podcast. I'm not very active on Ravelry. Like a lot of people, I find Ravelry really difficult. I do just tend to use it for downloading patterns. But when I do click on there, if somebody sent me a friend request, I'll, what is it called? Add to your friends? I do the same back. I just don't understand it. Same with competitions and things like that. I find it really difficult. I can join groups on Ravelry, but I can't be active in the groups. I don't know where the last comment was or anything, so I'm not great at Ravelry. But other than that, I'm trying to be better with the Facebook group. I set that up last year and I've not been brilliant at that either, but I am trying to be better. It's a work in progress. So Instagram is always the best place to catch me. All that waffle just to say I'm best off on Instagram. What else did I need to say at the beginning? I think that's everything. There is a Ko-fi account as well if you would like to support the podcast. All that will be linked below. And anything I talk about in the video will be linked in the description box below as well. It feels really weird to be podcasting after a month because I did the March vlogs. I didn't podcast during March vlogs because it's a lot of work to try and fit a podcast in on the same day that I'm vlogging. So it's been a month and there's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to show you. I feel like I've been away forever. So I'm just grab a cuppa, everybody, because I think you might actually need it on this episode. I've just got a coffee. So we've got some works in progress to talk about, and I feel like you're at a slant. Is that better? We've got some finished objects, some works in progress, some new things that I'm trying. I'll talk about the shop update right at the very end. That will be on the 15th of April, but I will talk about that right at the end of the podcast. And we've got some sewing. I know. So, shall we get into the knitting? Oh, before I do that, I just want to thank everybody that came and joined us on the March vlogs. We had such a blast during March doing those vlogs. And we had such lovely, lovely comments, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us. You were all just lovely and supportive. And I really did feel like I was catching up with you all each day. So thank you so much for that. We are going to be doing vlogs again, probably June, I think. But I'll let you know closer to the time. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to talk about. That's Danny, just going up the stairs. That's what I was going to say. It's the Easter holidays, so everybody's in. Finn's just sat over there. Danny's just gone upstairs, so everybody's in. So if I keep looking around, that's why. The kids have broken up for Easter. They're off for 2 weeks, so it's either film or it's going to be another 2 weeks. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to get into the podcast. Shall we start with finished objects? My first finished object, which, honestly, I cannot tell you how excited I am to finish this. I can't show it on the screen at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a picture, probably here, and I'll talk a little bit about it. So this was, this is the Snoopy Blanket. I have not woven in the ends. I still haven't done that. But this is the Snoopy Blanket. Not that you can see anything because it's far too big, so I'll just kind of do that. Now, I do have the magazine. This came... in issue, where's the issue number on here? Issue 69 of Crochet Now. If you use the Readly app, you could probably still find this. But so I don't know if they put them on Ravelry or not. Sometimes they do put these on Ravelry. But this is, whoops, I'm going to put myself in the eye. This is a crochet blanket. It's done in C2C. Now, I did it in DK. I think the pattern did call for DK. Let me just have a look. Yes, the pattern did call for DK, so I did it all in DK weight. And it was a yarn eater. It's incredibly heavy because it's so big. I'm attached. I didn't even add up how much yarn I used, but if you've been following along on any of the vlogs, you would have seen the endless trips to the yarn shop for this. I think I ended up close to 20 balls of yarn on this. It was a real yarn eater. And there are lots of mistakes in it. I'd started off for the red, using red from stash, and thought I had more than enough, and then ran out and couldn't get the right shade, so it doesn't quite match, but you can't really tell from a distance. I think I've made some mistakes at the very bottom where the grass section is. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I honestly absolutely love it. I've not woven in the ends because I'm still tying with the idea of a border. When I first finished it, I said it doesn't need a border, that's it. I was just so over it at that point. I'm like, it's done, that's it. But the more I look at it, the more I think a border. So I'm going to buy a couple of balls of black yarn, and I am going to stick a border around the edge of it. I'm just working myself up to it. But I am so pleased it's finished. This blanket has been going as nearly as long as the podcast. It's been a year in the making, and it's been an absolutely mammoth project. Because it's C2C and you're flipping it all the time, especially when we're on the biggest section or having to turn it, you sort of turn it in stages to flip it over, but I'm absolutely in love with it. No one's allowed to touch it. It's totally mine, and I love it. But I do have, and just turn it round. I have started weaving in the ends, but as you can imagine, it's a long project, so I have got a lot of ends to go at, so I'm just taking my time weaving in the ends. But it's finished. I'm over the moon with it. I absolutely love it. So, finished object number 1. Now, another long-term project that I had, let me just pop that away from any animals. Pop it there. Another long-term project I had was my Salem sweater. I did start this during the Vlogtober vlogs, I think it was. This is a DK weight sweater, and it's, I did it in bonus DK, and the colourway was Silver Mist, and this is it. Now this is the Salem sweater. Who is it by? Dragon Horde Designs. It's an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous sweater. I can't put it on, it's a little bit warm, so I'll put a picture on the screen of me wearing it. Now, this sweater was nearly frogged. Now, if you can see this bit here, it's got short row shaping on the back. And I think because I used an acrylic yarn rather than sort of a merino, while I was knitting it, it didn't have any drape to it whatsoever. So this bit just kind of stayed like that around my neck, and it looked really weird. So I very nearly frogged it. I left it in a bag for a good couple of months while I thought about what I was doing. It was almost in the naughty corner. You will go there and think about your behaviour. But do you know what? Since I've blocked it, it's just so soft and drapey. It's beautiful. Let me see if I can put it on. 1 second. I've got a long sleeve top on. Let's see if we can get it on, because it's easier to talk about once it's on. There we go. We've got it on. Right, let me see if I can jiggle myself around. So, you see, I did the arms to come to about there, and they have stretched right down. It's kind of cropped. It's not too cropped, it just sort of sits on my waist. Can you see? And it's that kind of boxy fit, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at that detail there. Isn't it beautiful? I cannot wait for cold weather. I've worn it once. It was really chilly one morning, so the first thing I did was put this sweater on, and it was like really warm 2 hours later and I had to take it off. But it's the ribbon. I didn't do the ribbon as long as the pattern called for. I think I just did an inch, because I didn't want it too long. I want to be able to wear a vest underneath it and have it sort of have that effect. I'm coming back, hang on. Oh, can you see me? So this bit here on the neck that I was talking about, once it was blocked, it was fine. It was absolutely, you can't see from my hair. It was fine once it was blocked. But it's just beautiful. I love it. The sleeves are a little bit baggy, but that's how I like them. I don't like tight sleeves. If you wanted, you could sort of decrease and make them a little bit tighter, but you'd have to be aware of this bit. You'd have to decrease evenly on each side to make them a little bit tighter. And even though the arms grew, because I tend to have my jumpers slightly shorter, and even though they grew, they're absolutely fine. But yeah, I just love it. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous jumper. I was saying as I was, before I blocked it, I said I'm going to make it again, but in the yarn that was called for. But do you know what? This bonus DK is fine. It's so soft and it makes it really cost effective to make. So that is my second finished object. I'll take it off because now I'm really warm because the heating's on as well. Whew. And I'm just so pleased with it. I love the colour as well. It is silver, but it's kind of got like a blue tinge to it. And this bit was so much fun to make. It really was. It wasn't so much fun when you had all the stitches before you separated for the sleeves. But as long as you've got stitch markers in, it was fine, because you knew exactly where you were. But I love doing cables. When I first learnt to knit, believe it or not, my first project was a cable project. No, it wasn't my first project. It was one of my first projects. It was a cable project. I just love them. So yeah, finished object number 2. Oh, I love it. I just love it. Now we do have another finished object. This is because it's been a month since I've podcasted. Let me just take a drink. So the third finished object. You all know that I'm doing I'm taking part in Dear Designs Sock Along. That's been hosted by Denise of the Dear Designs podcast. And she has put prompts out for each month. So you basically make a pair of socks each month for the year. And she's put prompts out, but you don't need to follow the prompts. They're just there if you want a little bit of inspiration. And I have been following the prompts all the way through, but this month, April, was, I think it's called Pastel Beauty. And I didn't have a lot of pastel yarn. So I've kind of gone my own way for April. So my first finished... I said it again, my third finished object is a pair of socks. So as you can see, not pastel at all. These are just Shorty Socks. The yarn was actually from my friend Sue in Canada. She sent me the most amazing birthday box. It's on the vlogs if you'd like to see it. It's I can't remember what day, but it's on March vlogs. I'll try and link that video or put it on the screen which day it was. But yeah, she sent me this yarn. Now this yarn is by a company called Ginger Snap Yarns, and the colourway is Suit Tie. And this one here, the contrast colour, is our Mustard Pot colourway, which I thought just went so beautifully. So I have a pair of Shorty Socks. Now, you all know that I've been struggling with my socks a little bit with the size. I'd started off 64 stitches initially when I first learned to knit socks, and I was doing 64 stitches on 2.75, and that was fine for ages. and then my gauge must have changed and my socks were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I went down to a 2.5 mil needle, and I was still doing 64 stitches, and that was fine for a little while, and then it continued to get bigger. So then with these, what I ended up doing, I tried a 2.5 mil needle on 60 stitches and I couldn't get them over my foot. So for these ones, what I've done is casted on 64 stitches, but once I've got to the leg, I've dropped down to 60 stitches. Now that's worked fine with these, they fit beautifully. I have since found another way of doing it, which I'll explain in a minute, but these are actually 64 stitch cast on, 1 by 1 rib, and then gone down to 60 stitches for the rest of the sock. It's a shadow wrap heel, which you all know at the moment is my absolute favourite heel. And they are just Shorty Socks, so there is just 20 rounds for the leg, which I do have a lot of Shorty Socks at the moment. What is that? A bit of cotton. So that is them. And is that it for finished objects? I have some sewing finished objects. So we started March vlogs, and I didn't really, if you've been following for a while, you'll know that I've sort of been sewing a few bags here and there, but weirdly during March vlogs my sewing kind of, I don't know how to explain it, just not took off, but I kind of really got into it, and I learned a lot during March about sewing. And I've really enjoyed, there's a whole other story to come added on to this in a minute, but I have really enjoyed learning to sew. So I've made a lot of project bags, there are a lot going into the shop, but there's a lot of project bags that I've made, but I've just started venturing in to other things. I had made a cushion cover, which it's here actually. Oh. I showed this on the vlogs. We have this funny shaped cushion, and it just had a white cover on it, which I didn't like the look of. What's that? There's a bit of thread there, which I didn't like the look of at all. But I had this gorgeous fabric, so one of the first projects I had was to make a cover for this cushion, and I did, and I absolutely love it. So that was one of the first ones I did. It fits perfectly, it matches the sofa perfectly because the sofa's all this colour, and I absolutely love it. So that kind of set me off on this, not a challenge, but I ended up going down a road that I didn't expect to go down with sewing. So that was the kind of first thing that did it. I really enjoyed making it. I got such satisfaction from having this cushion cover that I'd had for so long in this horrible white colour that I'd hated for so long. And it's not the kind of thing where you can just go and replace it, because they don't really sell them cushion covers. I'm sure they do somewhere, but not where I live. So it kind of set me off on this weird but fantastic path. So I've been making project bags and been playing a little bit with other things, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I will show you the project bags. So the first one that I made, God, this is a waffly podcast, isn't it? I'm really sorry. It's because it's been a month since I podcasted. The first one I made was this little Frenchy bag, which I absolutely love. Sorry, the cat's been asleep on it. There's cat hairs on it. Now, I'd been making project bags, but with these ones, I've put a thicker lining in, and I do much prefer the effect that it's got. And this is all lined. There's nothing in this bag because I've just taken my socks out of it. So that was my first finished object. And I have actually made myself another project bag, which is this one. Now, this fabric is not going into the shop. When we went, we'd gone to Skipton a few weeks ago to buy some fabric and things like that. We saw this, and you know, I have an autistic son, and so does Danny. So this fabric was just for us. It was incredibly expensive, so I'm not going to be putting it into the shop. It was just our fabric, but I did make myself a big bag with it, and I absolutely love it. It's just gorgeous. Got a box bottom and it's just gorgeous. I love it. I do have a project in here which I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, I have made another one of these bags which is going as a gift for somebody. But yeah, this fabric's not going into the shop. But isn't it gorgeous? I've got a little bit left. I want to make something for Ruby out of it. I think she wants a pencil case, so I'm going to make one for her. But yeah, isn't it just beautiful? And I've lined it without showing you my project yet. I've just put a yellow lining in it. So yeah, I think that is all of my finished objects. I think I said in the last podcast I may not have any finished objects, so I'm quite shocked at how many I've actually got, to be honest. The Snoopy Blanket though only had a corner left to do. The Salem Sweater only had one sleeve left to do. In fact, it wasn't even a full sleeve. I think I was halfway down the last sleeve, so that didn't have much to go at all. And socks don't take long. So that's the only reason I've got any finished objects. But yeah. So, are you ready to move on to works in progress? I'm not going to talk about all of the works in progress. I seem to have cast on quite a bit over the past month, so I'm not going to talk about them all. But we'll start with socks. So it's living in. This came from my friend Sue in Canada as well. These are yarn cake sacks. And it holds, this is the bigger version, she does two, there's a small one and a bigger one. The small one is just here. I've got all my accessories in here for this. This is the small one and this is the bigger one, but isn't it gorgeous? She has an Etsy shop, I will link that below as well. So, where's my pattern? Here it is. Now I didn't, have I got a picture? Have I got a picture? Yes. I saw these socks on Davina's podcast, Little Workroom Crafts. She'd been making these. Now these are a free pattern. I cannot believe these socks are a free pattern. As you all know, I only make vanilla socks, but when I saw Davina with these socks, I really, really wanted to make them. And Abby has also made a pair as well. Abby is Blue Heart Crochet and hers look amazing. I'll link both those YouTube channels in the description box below. Both of the socks look amazing. So these are the socks. They are the Diagon Alley socks and it is by Laurie Wagner. You can see the design there. I do apologise if you can hear the washing machine. I might just go and pause it. I will go pause the washing machine because it is about to start spinning. Pause the washing machine. So yeah, I don't make pattern socks, but I absolutely fell in love with these. So I downloaded the pattern. Now the colourway that I used has been in the shop for quite some time, so I didn't feel any guilt whatsoever in taking it. I designed this colourway a few months ago, hoping that it would be like a bit of a giraffe print. So it had been stuck in the shop. I think it's been in there at least 3 months. So I took the colourway and I thought, well, nobody's buying it, so surely it's better to have a sample. This is my excuse. Now, put the first sock on a blocker for you. I have done the first sock. And I'm calling them my Giraffe Socks. But they're really my Diagon Alley socks. And this is them. Isn't it gorgeous? You can't, I'm going to take it off the blocker to show you the pattern in a minute. So this colourway is called Top Banana and it had been in the shop for a while, so I took it. And this was the effect I was hoping it would knit up in. So these will be my sample socks if we ever get to a yarn show. This colour is my trusty Somerset Yarns rainbow pack that I have had forever, that I always use for contrast heels, toes and cuffs, and it matches the yellow perfectly. So these are the easiest pattern socks. I've tried pattern socks before and got really frustrated because when I knit socks, I kind of knit socks for a relaxing project. I've either got them in the car while I'm waiting on the school run, or I take them to bed on a night, and I don't want to have to think about them at all. But these were so easy. And that, you get this diagonal line. All this bit here is ribbing. And you see, you've got a twisted rib for the cuff, and then it's a broken rib for the leg. And then it moves into this diagonal, and the other sock will go the other way. It's just so easy. And what I really liked about the pattern as well, because I work magic loop, whole other story. If you've watched the vlogs, you've seen my trauma with the 9-inch circulars. But because I work magic loop, I don't like if you're changing the needle. I don't know if it's just me or if anybody else feels like this. When you're going on to a new needle, if I'm purling first, I can't get the tension right. I get a gap. So I hate having to purl on the new needle first. You know, when you're between needles. This pattern rectified that. Completely rectified it. It changed the stitch count. So when you were changing needles on magic loop, you were using a knit stitch only, which I thought was so fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. It's a really, really easy pattern. It's charted. Now, was there written instructions as well? No, it is charted, but I had absolutely no problem with the charts whatsoever. It was just brilliant. And for a free pattern, I don't, the amount of work that has gone into these socks, there shouldn't be a free pattern. Davina had said the same thing, and she's absolutely right. I cannot believe these are a free pattern. I'm going to be making some more of these because they were so fun to make. I've not even done Shorty Socks. I was enjoying this bit so much. They're not even Shorty Socks. I did 40 rounds for the leg, which I normally do 20. So I did 40 round for the leg. And I think on the next pair I make, I'm going to make the leg and the cuff even longer. But they're just lovely. They're just really lovely. I mean, just look. I just love this bit here. They are such nice socks. I'll link the pattern below. Like I say, it's a free pattern. You just can't go wrong. So, I really like them. Now, where's me? I've got a little clip somewhere. I've got a clip for that. Where have I put my clip? There it is. I have cast on the second sock. And I'm just coming up to halfway down the leg. So, the second sock is on the way. So I'm hoping to have these finished by the end of April, and then I can enter another pair into Denise's sock along. But yeah, and that is my giraffe colourway. I called it top banana, and I really should have called it giraffe. I know that the patches are supposed to be brown and the rest of it's supposed to be yellow, but I liked this way. I still think it looks very giraffe-like. So yeah, really enjoying those, really enjoying those. I've picked these up this week more than any other project, to be perfectly honest. Put that in there. And that is the yarn, the yellow yarn that I'm using. I've talked about it before. It's from Somerset Yarns, and they did a rainbow pack. I think it was about this time that last year, and it came with 6 50-gram skeins of just rainbow colours, and I'm still using them. I think I've only got the yellow and the orange with the most yarn on. The others have little tiny scraps now, but they've been brilliant for heels, toes and cuffs. I'll buy another one of those. So yeah, that's those. Really enjoying them, and thank you. Honestly, when I started this project, I must say this. So, you know, I've gone through the whole struggling to get my socks to fit sizing issue. So when I came to cast these socks on, it was a 60 stitch or a 64. Let me just double check. It was either cast on 60, 66 or 72 stitches. Now I struggled a little bit. I thought, what am I going to do? Because I know that 60 stitches is going to be too small, but 66 stitches is going to be far too big. So I ended up messaging Davina on Saturday, and I said, I'm not quite sure what to do, which leads back to the other thing that I was talking about a little bit ago. So she looked at it and she says, do you have a 2.75 mil needle? And I said, yes. She goes, right, cast on 60 stitches on the 2.75. Why didn't I think about that before? All this drama that I've had messing around with needle sizes and stitch counts, The 2.75 on 60 stitches works perfectly. So thank you so much, Davina. She was so lovely. She was so helpful and just got me set up where I needed to be, and it was just brilliant. So Davina, thank you so, so much. You were such a big help. So I did cast on 60 stitches on a 2.75. It actually calls for, the needle size the socks called for is 2.25. What's going on there? 2.25 millimeter needles. So yeah, I did 60 stitches on a 2.75, and that's worked perfectly. So first work in progress. Let me just have a drink. I think that was the wind. It's very, very windy outside, like really windy. Ruby, there's nobody there, darling. Come sit down. Come sit down. Good girl. Just the wind. The wind blows the letterbox, and then the dog just... Right, so next work in progress is the Alina Shawl. Put that there a minute. This is the Alina Shawl. I've had this pattern for quite some time. I've checked, it's not a free pattern now, but I'm almost convinced when I downloaded this pattern it was a free pattern. So it's the Alina Shawl by Babette Ulmer. Now, I got this pattern before I started the Winterlight Shawl by Stephen West, which was last summer, and I tried it and couldn't get my head around it at all. But I'm much more experienced now. I think it was just inexperience with the pattern. And after doing the Stephen West, it was funny because when I cast this on and it was the I-cord edging I couldn't get my head around, and then I started the Stephen West, which had the same I-cord edging, and I sort of got it after that. But first of all, yarn. I'm using a Stylecraft Special in plain black, 4-ply, and my very, very special yarn from my friend Caroline. This was one of Danny's early colours. I think it was called Island Sunset or Tropical Sunset, something like that. And I said when it went into the shop update, please nobody buy it, because if nobody buys it, I'm going to have it. And my friend Caroline actually bought it for me. I absolutely adore it. The plan was also always to pair it with a dark colour. I just didn't know what pattern I was going to use it for. Initially, it was going to be the sock head cowl, but I wanted it for a bigger project. So the Alina project is what it became. Now, this is what I have so far. I've not done loads on it. I love it. So you've got this I-cord edge running down one side here, and then you've got this twisted cable effect down the other side. It's absolutely gorgeous. Obviously it increases, you can see, out on one side, and when you've done, you see on there, that's what you'll have. I'm going to tie the knots in it like they've done here as well. So I'm really, really loving it. Now, I did struggle with the pattern a little bit. It has a chart and it has written instructions. Now, it could easily be me. I tried to follow the written instructions first because I'm more comfortable with the written instructions than I am charts. Well, I'm not now. I've discovered that charts are probably easier, actually. But I did try and follow the written instructions first. It didn't seem to work out. But like I say, it could have been me. There are a couple of things where the row numbers are out. I looked on Ravelry to see if anybody had mentioned problems with the written instructions, and there was no mention of it. So I thought, well, everybody else had managed to do the pattern, so I thought, I wonder if they've just followed the chart. So I followed the chart and I had no issues. It worked perfectly. So I don't know whether it's something that I'm just misreading on the written instructions. Like I say, the instructions, like it'll say row 13, then row 17, and then row 15. So there are obviously an issue with the row numbers. But it could well be that it could be me. I did start this late one night and I might have just been misreading it. But following the chart, I've had absolutely no issues, and the chart has been much easier to follow. There is a chart for increasing and a chart for decreasing. So yeah, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. My friend Mandy of the Mouses Makes podcast had said, I think it was Mandy that said it, it's like a licorice all sort, so I put a little licorice all sort stitch marker on it, and I'm like, it really is. I just love it. And I think with my denim jacket in the autumn, it's going to look gorgeous. I've got a dark blue denim jacket, and I think that'll look fab with it. So I've just got some stitch markers in just for my own progress, so I know what I've been doing. And yeah, so that's that. It's just, it's lovely, and it will actually stretch quite a bit when it's blocked as well. Even if it stretches, it still looks gorgeous. I just love this bit here. It's gorgeous. So that is the Alina Shawl, and really, really enjoying that. And that is living in my jigsaw bag. Now, have I got any other works in progress? Let me have a quick look. Everything's under here. What's in this one? I've got the flax light, but I've not done a great deal on that, so there's no point in showing you that. Excuse me. There's no point in showing you that because there's not a great deal to see. But I do have one more crochet. You see, if you've been watching March vlogs, you've seen all of this already. I showed it a lot. But I decided to cast on the Nature's Walk blanket. I've admired this for quite some time. The yarn packs. So first of all, the Nature's Walk blanket is by Sandra at Cherry Heart. I'll leave a link to in the description box below. It is a free pattern. Now, I've been told by Diane at YewTree Yarncraft that there are bonus squares. So thank you very much for that, Diane. I am going to have a look at those bonus squares. Diane has a podcast as well, and she has made the Nature's Walk blanket. On her latest podcast, she's got it on the bed so you can see it. It's lovely, and I think she's going to be starting another one as well, so yay. So I wanted to do it in the yarn. It's Scapier's Stonewashed Sport Weight, which is like, we don't really do sport weight in the UK, so it's like in between a 4-ply and a DK. And I really wanted to use that yarn, but the yarn packs, I think they were £90, which is really expensive. So I've been buying it in stages. So I started off with the first yarn pack, which was the, I think it was called Ruby Conundrum. It should be in here. Conundrum Ruby, that's it. And this is my, which way around is it? This is my first square. If you can hear that clicking in the background as well, Finlay is on the Xbox. That might be really annoying. Yeah, that's the first square. So there are 8 of these, and I have got 8. So that's the first one. And this is my second pack. My next yarn arrived, which was this gorgeous grey one. And the colourway of this is Smoky Quartz. So I've just started the next ones. Now, I did have some issues. Sandra says in the pattern, because this one, there's a lot of chains, so either go up a hook size, because the tendency is to chain quite tight. I've always been a little bit weird, so I was chaining a little bit loosely. When I made my first square, it was huge. In fact, I've got some yarn. I had some yarn left over from it. It was, I mean, this square is a little bit bigger than this one, but it was like this much bigger. So I had to pull it all out and really chain tightly. I should have gone down a hook size really to get the second one. Anyway, I've managed to get the tension right. So there is a slight size difference in these squares. But if you think this one's got to block yet, so it'll block to the same size. It'll be absolutely fine. So I'm really, really, really enjoying this one. I should be weaving in the ends as I go. If the Snoopy Blanket's taught me anything, it is to weave in ends as I go. As you can see. No, haven't done that. I want to have it as a long-term project. I don't want to have any goals in mind for this project whatsoever. I'm just picking it up when I want to pick it up. When I was finishing the red, I ended up doing 4 squares in one day because I was just enjoying it and I was just in the mood to do it. And that's how I want to stay with this project. I don't want it to become a chore where I'm thinking, oh, I've got all them squares to do. I just want to enjoy it. So I've only done 1 square of the grey because I've not been in the mood to do any squares. But when I am, they're right here for me to pick up. So if it takes me the rest of the year or it takes me into next year, it doesn't really matter because it is such a lovely, relaxing project. Now there are, I think there's 6, I think I've got it written down on here. Ooh. There are 6 square patterns. This isn't including the bonus squares. I need to look into them bonus squares. So there are 6 colours to do and 8 squares in each. And then the main colour is like a white, really beautiful border. If you go to Diane's latest episode, like I say, you'll see it on the bed. It's absolutely gorgeous. I will put a picture on the screen as well. I can't show you a printed picture because I'm only printing out each page that I need depending what square I'm on. Because it's a huge pattern. There's a lot of pages and I don't want to print them all out in one go. But yeah, it's just lovely. It's nice to have another project on the go and another crochet project on the go. Now the Snoopy Blanket's finished, it's kind of taken the place of that. And it's just really, really lovely. So I am enjoying it. And it's fun thinking, oh, what colour am I going to choose next once I finish these silver ones. I've chosen the Wild Hedgerow. There's different colour packs. And I've chosen the Wild Hedgerow pack. There's a brighter one. I'll try and put a picture of each one on the screen if I can. There is a brighter one, but this is like purples and creams. And it's just lovely. And it's going to be quite big. When you think 8 of these across... I mean, this is only 6. It's going to be, a fair decent size. Plus the border, it's quite a deep, looking at Diane's, it's quite a deep border. So, yeah. That is my last work in progress. 43 minutes in, I'm really sorry. So, I think that is it for all the knitting content and sewing content and crochet content. Check me out saying sewing content. Oh, do you know... I am just loving, absolutely loving this journey. Oh my God, I haven't told you the most exciting thing. Where is it? So, in amongst all, let me get myself comfortable. In amongst all of this sewing, you've seen this if you follow me on Instagram. I don't know, how did I come across it? I watch Ellie at Craft House Magic and Ellie raves about Tilly and the Buttons, and I think I'd been looking on their website because I'd really love to make garments. At the moment for me it is just such an alien concept, it really is. When I think back to when I learnt to knit and I started the podcast and knitting was also new, and I remember knitting my first garment and thinking I'm never going to get this. That is how I feel about the sewing patterns. I came across the fact that Tilly and the Buttons are doing a sew-along for these Erin dungarees. Now, I really do want to get into garment making because I do struggle, especially when I go buy like dresses and things like that. I have a really long middle, so nothing ever fits me. And I thought, how nice would it be to make my own clothes? Now, this is just total like pipe dream at this point. But I'd seen that Tilly and the Buttons were doing this sew-along. So my thinking is, it's straight lines, it's a baggy fit, surely, and it's a sew-along. They are literally showing you what to do on the YouTube channel, so surely this would be the best thing to start with. So I bought the pattern. Oh, honestly, I'm so excited about this. I bought the pattern. Now, I'm between sizes, so... I'm between a size 5 and 6 on the bust measurement, I am a size 6 on the waist and a size 4 on the hip. So what do I do with that? I'm thinking of just doing a size 5. Because there's only 2 inches difference in the waist. Let me know if that's a mistake. So, the bust, I'm in between a 5 and a 6. The waist, I'm a size 6. And the hip, I'm a size 4. So I'm thinking size 5. I don't know. We'll see. So this starts tomorrow on the Tilly and the Buttons YouTube channel. I will link their introductory video below if any of you would like to follow along. You can order the pattern, the PDF pattern or the physical pattern. Now I'm just going to grab my fabric and show you my fabric. So this is the fabric that I've chosen. And I've washed it. It's all ready to go. I just need to cut it out. And I haven't. Anyway, whole other story. So yeah, this is the fabric I've chosen. I've not chosen a lining fabric because I have some cotton-backed interfacing which my friend gave me, and I think I'm going to use that as the lining. But I need to ask her if I can. I don't know whether that's the right thing to use or not. It's like a cotton with a backed interfacing on it, so I think it'll be okay because you do need a little bit of interfacing in this. But anyway, so yeah, that is my fabric. I washed it all yesterday. It's dry, so it's all ready to go. I'm going to cut out the pattern pieces this afternoon. But oh my God, I'm nervous. I really am. Like, this to me. So let's fold that back up. Hang on a minute. I kept getting the pattern out last night and just thinking, oh my God, I'm scared of cutting into the pattern. I don't have any tracing paper to go over the pattern and cut it out from that in case I mess this up. So I'm just going to have to go for it. But I also got, if you ordered the physical pattern, the first 1,000 customers got the Dungas All Day sewing label, which I did get. Yeah, I keep looking at the pattern and just thinking, this is just beyond me. But I'm just going to take it one step at a time and just go for it. You see there, it says easy to follow. I'm not going to do the buttonholes. I'm going to do the tie top version, so no buttonholes for me. I'm doing the cropped leg, which I'm guessing is going to be quite long on me, but I want to be able to have like nice chunky turn-ups on the bottom, so I'm not bothered if the leg's a bit long on me. And I think that even getting the fabric was just... I looked online and I didn't have a clue what kind of fabric I was supposed to have or anything. I just didn't know. I don't know enough about sewing. So I went to the fabric shop and I was wandering around and I was wandering around and I was wandering around, and the lady said, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" And I just kind of went, "Help?" She was so lovely with me. So I told her that, you know, I was totally inexperienced, so she said this would be the best one. She said it's a denim type feel, but it's actually cotton. It's not going to move. She said don't be going for any jersey because you can do this in jersey. She says don't be going for any jersey because it's going to want to move and you're going to find it tricky. So she set me up with this. I have 3 meters and yeah, we'll see how I get on. I think it starts at 12 tomorrow, so I'm going to get all my pieces cut out today. And I'm really just going to go for it. It seems like such a bigger challenge than learning to knit was. It really does. But I'm going to go for it anyway. So yeah, that's that. Right, into life stuff. So there's not been, since March vlogs, there's not been a great deal happening. If you were following along on March vlogs, I had a bit of a drama right at the end because they changed. My diabetic review should have been the 27th of April. In fact, it wasn't even the review, it was just my next lot of blood tests to see if I brought them numbers down at all. So it should have been 27th of April. And then the doctors had rung and said, oh no, you need to come in sooner, but that's too far away. So they rearranged my appointment for... I think it was Tuesday just gone, or Wednesday just gone. no, they didn't. They rearranged it for last Thursday. And I had a bit of a drama because I wasn't ready for it. I hadn't prepared myself for it. And mentally, I wasn't ready to see if I'd worked hard enough. And I was a bit, oh my God, oh my God. So it got to the Wednesday night and they cancelled the appointment. The nurse was off poorly or whatever, which is fine. So then it got rearranged again for this week. So I did go to that appointment yesterday and I got there all ready to go. My blood tests, right, let's do this. Let's see if I've done enough. And it wasn't cancelled. The nurse said, they've made a mistake. You need to come back on the 27th of April. And I said, I did tell them that on the phone. And she said, no, so we've had a new system put in and it's created a crossover. So people are being called back early. Because if I do your blood tests now, because it's 2 weeks early, your old haemoglobin's still going to be in your system and it's still going to show high. So she goes, no matter how hard you've worked, you're still going to get a higher reading. So she goes, let's just wait 2 weeks. So after all that drama, I still have not had... cat fight. I still have not had the blood tests. It is the 27th of April, so I'm sure there'll be a podcast in amongst that to let you know how I've got on. But yeah, just I know it's not a big thing. I know that it really isn't a big thing, but to me it was. To me, finding out I was diabetic was hard enough. Then having to change my diet completely was really difficult. And then to have to sort of prove to someone that you've changed your diet and you're working hard and they can see if you've done it or not was just, it's just like... So 27th of April is when I find out, is when I get the next lot of blood tests. I think the numbers should have certainly come down, I would have thought, but we'll see. We'll see at that point. If the numbers have come down, then I don't have to go on medication, which is the end goal anyway. I don't want to go on medication. I want to be able to control it with diet and exercise. So we shall see. So that has been that. And yeah, there's not been a great deal else gone on since March vlogs. Finlay's on holiday from school. He's got 2 weeks off for Easter. Yeah. And that's about it. There's been nothing going on. We haven't been anywhere. We haven't done anything. We've just... Because it's Advent week, the Advent calendars went on sale last Friday and we've just been busy with that. So we've been working every day on that. The Advent calendars actually will be shipped on Monday. I was hoping to get them shipped before the weekend, but because the weather's been so poor, rainy and terrible wind, I can't put any yarn out to dry outside whatsoever. Normally... Even if it's cold, it can go on the line for an hour just to take the most of the wet off it, and then it'll dry sort of hung up relatively quickly. I haven't been able to do that, so it's taking longer. So the rest of the yarn will be dried for the Advents, by the end of today, hopefully, and then tomorrow and Saturday will be spent labelling and packaging, and so they will be shipped on Monday. We have another yarn update coming on the 15th of April. There are a lot of bags in that update as well. I've started showing sneak peeks on my Facebook page for those of you that follow on there. But yeah, there's a lot of bags. There's quite a bit of yarn. I'm going to dye Danny his blue suede colourway to make his hat that he keeps banging on about. What, is he going to wear it in the summer? Really? Surely I could start that in like August and still have it ready for when the weather gets cold. But he wants this hat. So I'm going to dye up some blue suede. Depending on how many yarns we've got left, I might dye a couple and have one for the shop. If not, I'll just dye Danny's. I know that there's been a few requests for the mustard pot colourway, so I'm going to try and get a couple of those into this update as well. If not, it'll be the next update. Yeah, so... Next update is the 15th of April. We have been accepted onto virtual Yorkshire Yarn Fest as well, which is very, very exciting. I think we're on the June virtual Yorkshire Yarn Fest, which is really, really exciting. I'm really pleased about that. We did apply for Yarndale. I haven't heard anything back, so whether we've got in or not, I just don't know yet. Probably, what date are we on? 7th of April? I don't know when you hear back. But we did apply for Yarndale, so I don't know. We'll see. They get such a lot of vendors, they can't possibly, accept everybody. So I don't know. We'll see. Danny's standing right there now, staring at me. Hello. You're going to open the door? Okay. He's letting the dog out. So yeah, I think after nearly an hour of wittering on, that is about everything. So it's been lovely to be back doing a podcast with you all. Sorry it's been so long, but I hope you're all okay, and I hope you've had a lovely crafty month, and I will see you again in 2 weeks. Stay safe, everybody. Bye bye.